All right. Next, let's talk about the laws of motion by Isaac Newton. So, at the heart of kinetics. All right. By the way, we're done with kinematics, and this time, we're on the second half of dynamics. So, kinetics, and the heart of it are the three laws of motion by Isaac Newton that establish the fundamental relationship between force, mass, and motion, forming the backbone of classical mechanics and nearly all engineering analysis involving moving systems. Right? Just like, remember, we have the Angry Birds. And how do these things move? Any mechanical system, anything that has mechanization on it, um, of course, must be designed and analyzed according to the laws of motion. All right, so let's talk about these three. First one, we have the first law of motion, also known as the law of inertia, which states that a body remains at rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless acted upon a net external force. Okay, we also know sometimes we say that an object at rest will remain at rest unless an external force acts on it. Okay, so that means if it's at rest, then it will be forever at rest if we don't do something on it. Okay, or if it's continuously moving, just like this one, continuously moving, but at this point, a collision has occurred, and that collision um, stopped the what do we call the motorcycle. Okay, but it didn't stop the person. So because of its inertia, it is supposed to be continuously moving forward. Okay, but of course it didn't happen because of the presence of gravity. So it without gravity, this person will move forever. But because of gravity, it went on until this point only. Right? So meaning it became a projectile motion only. All right. So the first law of motion describes equilibrium and natural motion. And it has, since it's called inertia, let's recall that inertia is the natural tendency of an object to resist changes in its state of motion. And the amount of inertia depends on mass, meaning the greater mass means greater resistance to motion changes. So if this person is very heavy, then we can expect it will have it can go farther, much farther than this. Okay? Gravity will have a different effect on it. Okay? But if it is very light, then it can easily adapt to whatever external force that has stopped the motorcycle. Okay? Um, we can consider this example also in this is a clip from I think Interstellar. Um, Imagine if you're in the space and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere in the outer space. Okay, in reality, you cannot do anything. So you're stuck. You cannot move. You cannot go um into another position or into another place. You can change your location. You will be stuck there unless there's something that can change your inertial position or inertial state. Okay, so if you can only grab anything, you can just like in when you're swimming. If you can grab anything, then you can move your body at a certain direction. Okay. Also when we row our boat, if we have nothing to use to row the boat, then we can get stuck at a certain location. That's why we have to row, okay? So that we push, um, we push, uh, we row so that there can be an external influence to our current position. Okay, we can affect the inertial or the natural tendency of the object to resist the motion. Okay, so that's the first law. Remember, that's also the effect when you ride a car or a bus or a train, and the vehicle suddenly stops. Okay, so you tend to move forward because your initial, before the brake, your initial motion is forward. So once it stops, you go forward. Say, in the same way, when the vehicle accelerates and decelerates, your body tends to resist that acceleration or deceleration. Your body tends to, depending on your mass, the heavier you are, the more difficult for your body to adapt to the new velocity. Okay? So if the object or if the vehicle went faster, then your body would most likely lean back. The heavier you are, the more you tend to remain backward. Okay? Because you resist the motion. The more thing you have inside you that resists the motion. Okay, or the change in the motion. But when the vehicle decelerates, you observe you go forward. Okay, so just like this one. Okay, so I hope that's a clear demonstration. Let me know if you have some questions. We At this point we proceed with the second law, also known as the law of acceleration. So this law states that the acceleration of a body is directly proportional to the net force acting on it and inversely proportional to its mass. Okay, so um, that means this law is basically saying that A acceleration is equals to force over mass. Okay, force because it's directly proportional to the force and inversely proportional to the mass. So meaning you can only accelerate if you exert more force. No, you can only accelerate either um, either you um, exert more force or lessen your mass. Okay, those are our two options. If you want to go faster, for example, you are riding a car and you're in a race, either you put more effort, you exert more energy so that um, you can add force to your vehicle, um, or you can lessen the mass of your vehicle. You can get rid of unnecessary stuff in your car to go faster. Okay, that's why if you have noticed, heavy people are more likely slower when walking, when running, riding a bike compared to the lighter ones or the thinner ones. Okay? Unless of course there are people who are skinny but um they are heavy. So maybe those people um m- could could find a hard time to go faster because they have more mass in them. And remember, mass is inversely proportional to the acceleration. Okay? If they want to go faster, they have to exert more force. Okay? Meaning they get tired. Uh, they can go faster, but they will get tired faster. Okay? So if you have an enemy, okay, no, we're not going to talk about. Um, Also, the second law of motion quantifies the effect of force. So the force causes acceleration, not velocity directly. And acceleration occurs in the direction of the net force. So wherever the force has been applied, whatever is the line of action, or the direction of the line of action, then that would be the corresponding acceleration also. Okay? So In translational motion, we just use the normal F is equals to ma formula that we introduced in the first module. Um, Also in rotational motion, we introduce this one also in module 2. We have the I for the inertia multiplied by the angular velocity, right? So that's for the um, summation of moment. And I guess that would be all for this one. Okay. And the third one, third law of motion, we have the law of action reaction, also known as the law of interaction. So this one states that for every action force, there is an equal and opposite reaction force. And it describes interaction between bodies. That's why it's also known as the law of interaction. I think a good example for that is Iron Man or any flying vehicle. So in order for them to go up, okay, if they want to um if they want to go up, okay, then they must exert force downward. Okay, so that their action force will be the one that will pull them up. Okay, because if they do otherwise, if they exert force upward, then they will go downward. Right? So that's the principle also in cannonballs, in missiles, even in guns. Okay, or in anything that you use for shooting. Right? Um, Another way to demonstrate this law is this one, the pendulum. Um, okay. So just observe. I think no need to elaborate on this. Right? Just take note that forces always occur in pairs. Whenever you, for example, whenever you put an item in a table, then the weight of the table, just like in our previous module, the weight um, the weight on the table or the weight acting on the table will be counter acted by the normal force that the table will exert. Okay? In other words, the table must exert normal force so that the object will stay on that um, surface. Okay? If the table cannot provide sufficient normal force, then we can expect the table to break. And the object, because of its weight, it will push through. Okay? So it should be equal, right? So equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. If the weight is going downward, then the normal force is upward. Okay? Except in what do you call that? Except in the case of inclined um surfaces. Okay? Um right, and that's the third law. So I think that's it for this part. Let's talk about work, energy, and power on the fourth and last part of this module.